Hello and welcome to Brass Reflections, a weekly post from Cambridge Citadel Band of the Salvation Army. In this episode, our young people's band leader Lee has chosen another fantastic piece from the pen of Paul Lovatt-Cooper, a composer who we featured back in Brass Reflections 12. Fire in the Blood was premiered back in June 2011 at the Royal Albert Hall. The piece certainly had a real impact on that day and has now become a favourite of many, and I suppose a modern day army classic. I'm pleased to introduce Lee, a professional musician by day, who plays clarinet in the mounted band of the Household Cavalry.
Hello everyone. The piece I have chosen for Brass Reflections is Fire in the Blood by a composer previously mentioned on an earlier episode, Paul Lovatt-Cooper. This piece was written for the International Staff Band of the Salvation Army in celebration of 120 years of their service. The International Staff Band, or ISB, gathered with 7 other staff bands from around the world in 2011 to celebrate their 120-year anniversary. The music is in keeping with the style of a lot of other Paul Lovatt-Cooper's compositions, starting with an energetic first section into a slow, thoughtful devotional, and ending in, to quote the composer, a barnstorming last section. It is set around Richard Phillips's arrangement of Psalm 95, Sing for Joy, and I can imagine the people of the day when the psalm was written worshipping God with everything they could. The opening of the piece is the band shouting aloud to the God of our salvation. After that comes the beautiful chorus by Howard Davies, Lord, you know that we love you, straight into I Love You Lord by Laurie Klein, played on the euphonium. There is such a contrast here which shows the many ways that we can worship God, with joy or in prayer and adoration. The piece ends with an explosive, typical Paul Lovatt-Cooper ending intertwining all 3 songs, being passed around the band with so much going on that you can envisage everyone praising God in every way possible. So here is the piece you've all been waiting for, Paul Lovatt-Cooper's Fire in the Blood. I hope that you enjoyed that as much as I did. When Brass Reflections started, I was always going to talk about this piece, providing no one else beat me to it. I thought that it would be a good idea to ask the composer, or Dr. Stephen Cobb, the bandmaster of the International Staff Band, for those that don't know, about the background to the piece. I opted for the latter. Stephen said, "The background to the piece is that prior to ISB 120, Paul contacted me. He'd been approached by another staff band to write something for the weekend, but phoned to say he'd like to write something for us. He wrote it as a gift to the band, and did so with only one condition, that the piece included the chorus, 'I love you, Lord,' which was significant to him. It was his conversion song when he was a student at Star Lake. I had no idea what he was going to come up with by way of a piece, which clearly was something of a risk. If someone writes a piece for you in a situation like this, you are almost committed to using it. He promised a barnstormer ending and lots of exciting moments, and thankfully he delivered on this. It was and continues to be a hugely popular work. SA and non-SA bands around the world have featured it regularly. The reason that I chose this piece is for the song, 'Lord, You Know That I Love You.' This relates to Peter being asked by Jesus in John 21 verse 17, 'Simon, son of John, do you love me?' To which he replied, 'Lord, you know all things, you know that I love you.' Peter, out of all the disciples, really did love Jesus and was the rock on which the church was built. Never mind that he had denied Jesus 3 times and failed him. As the song goes on to say, 'You know my thoughts and intentions, know the depth of devotion found in our lives today.' This is my testimony, as I am sure it is for many people. I have failed Jesus and denied him many times in my life, and my devotion has definitely not been deep at times. I am grateful for being brought up as a Christian and Salvationist, because without that upbringing, I probably wouldn't have come back to God after every time I failed him. He knows my thoughts and intentions before I do, and he hasn't let me fall too far without picking me up again. God bless.